We welcome you inside the Oswego State Natatorium for this afternoon's matchup between SUNY Oswego men's and women's swimming and diving and SUNY Brockport, who is visiting Oswego on the road this week. My name is Connor Dickman. You're joining me here on WTOP 10 for today's full coverage of both men's and women's swimming and diving. We're here inside the natatorium where the pool is still and Brockport is lining the far wall, and we are here waiting for the Oswego State Lakers to exit the locker room. Brockport's divers are just starting to wrap up their final rounds of warm-ups, and here they come. Now, this is Oswego's home opener. They have not had a home game yet, this home match or meet home this season. And big dramatic entrances by all here on the pool deck. And as that last person wraps up, that's Zach Brown. Zach Brown is in quite the position this season to make significant waves in the SUNYAC. We'll listen in on their starting warm-ups for their cheer. And cheers from everybody here inside the natatorium as Oswego starts to get ready to take on the Brockport Golden Eagles here in their home opener in the Oswego State Natatorium. And you are definitely correct. They do rock the same colors, but one thing is for certain, they are not the same team. This is going to be a battle for Oswego to take home a win today against Brockport. Brockport has one thing that Oswego does not, and that is a men's diving team. This season, no men's divers on the Oswego State roster, which is a huge deficit to overcome in a meet like this. Between 18 and 20 points is the hole that Oswego will be digging themselves out of at the beginning of this match, entirely due to the fact that Brockport has a singular men's diver to compete in today's meet. And as you can see, Brockport across the way getting ready for their warm-ups as we will get prepared to cover today's meet. Now, we will have full coverage today, both of swimming and diving. The camera, single camera, is just operated by myself, so I appreciate anybody's patience in dealing with this. This is a new thing for WTOP 10. And as much as we love covering every sport, obviously, we can only cover as much as we can. So we are trying out a new thing and commentating over the top of swimming and diving this season. The order for today, men's will start, women's will follow, and as most of you are aware, SUNYAC alternates every other year. This season is men's swimming first, followed by women's swimming. There are going to be blocks of time in between these heats and in between these sections of dives that there will be no commentary, just because we will let you enjoy the natural sound occurring here inside the Oswego State Natatorium. And here's Brockport with their rousing cheer, attempting to get themselves hyped up before starting today's away meet. Oswego lining the close side of the pool, waiting for Brockport to line the far side. Officials have come onto the pool deck and are getting in position now. The first portion of today's meet will start with the 200-yard medley relay, which is back Oh, here's Brockport. And Brockport responding with their own rousing cheer in response to Oswego's open. Lots and lots of Brockport fans filing in today. Very good crowd, probably between 150 and 200 fans here watching this match at home.
Yeah, TV. Yep. Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we air every home meeting. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 10.2. SUNY Oswego on Laker
Yep.
Pool this
Yep.
afternoon. Swimming and diving matchup between the Golden Eagles of Brockport and your Oswego State Lakers.
And rousing cheers are rising from the crowd for the home team, Oswego State, and the visiting team, the Golden Eagles from Brockport. And as you heard from the public announcer, Oswego is currently number 1. And here we go, the home opener for the Oswego State men's and women's swimming and diving team. Starting us off today at this green and gold gala here at the Oswego State Auditorium will be the men's 200-yard relay. And as you can see, and it seems as if the event is underway after an exciting banana rendition from two of Oswego's own swimmers here inside Laker Hall in Oswego, New York. Again, my name is Connor Dickman, and thank you for joining us here on the athletics page on YouTube as well as on TV 10.2 WTOP 10. Now, as I said before, Oswego will be starting the men will be starting for the 200-yard medley relay as the opener for today's meet, this green and gold gala. As we see them starting to line up, in lane 2 with Brockport will be Matthew Chan, Jonathan Abraham, Logan Keim, and Jack Olsian. In lane 3 for Oswego, Matt Dambra, followed by Zach Brown, Lucas McGarry, and Vincent Mullen. In lane 4, Brockport for Matt Cole, Josh Lozonis, Joseph Keeney, and Alex Scaglione. And in lane 5, Duncan Smith, followed by Nathan Radivine, followed by Van L. Wilton and Ryan Murphy. Some big names for Oswego on this starting block today, especially in this opener in the first heat of this home opener game match and meet versus Brockport. Zach Brown, a two-time SUNYAC alternate and a fairly accomplished individual in the pool, took first place last year in the 200-yard breast in SUNYACs. And you'll see swimmers are in the water, ready to line up with the block. And we're off. Oswego is in front, but only by a slight hand in lane 2. Good at the turn is Matt Dambra. Matt Dambra in front by a good length and a half. On the block, Zach Brown. Zach Brown is in at least 2 seconds ahead. As I said before, Zach Brown was the reigning 200-yard breast champion for SUNYAC. Took first place last season with a 55-57, and that is an impressive score to beat, and will be able to, as shown here, put the Oswego Lakers pretty far ahead on this block. 52.5 for Oswego. Next closest time, 57.58 for Brockport. Quite the split at the turnaround. And he's already on his length back towards getting Vincent Mullen in to the water to finish this off with freestroke. In goes Vincent. 17:40 on the clock. Vincent is at least a half a length ahead of every other team. Oswego is in second place as well with a 1:23.16. Good at the turn. Mullen finishes out strong with a 1:40.03. Oswego looking to take the second place as well, and they will. 1:46.11, followed by Brockport in lane 3 with a 1:47.02, and Brockport will take the fourth and round off the top at 1:48.4. And what an incredible start to this home opener for the Lakers, taking first and second in a heat of 4 for the men's 200-yard medley relay. Up next is going to be a fairly similar event, going to be the 200-yard medley relay, and that's going to be for women's. Now, a much larger output for this event here. We are not just going to see 4 teams competing. We will see a full pool. All 6 lanes will be filled. Now, for the consistency of this entire meet, Oswego will primarily be, except for one singular heat, in lanes 1, 3, and 5, and Brockport will take lanes 2, 4, and 6. So Oswego in the odd, Brockport in the evening. And what a showing by the Oswego State Lakers to start off that first event. And here we go. In the water are the backstrokers for the women's team. A little bit late off the blocks. It looks like we're going to get a whistle. Everybody waving frantically, attempting to get everybody to stop. Looks like they have not been quite able to get the swimmers who are so hyper-fixated on getting their backstroke in. At least we will not stop the next round from jumping in. And it looks like they are finally able to get them to stop at the starting blocks, and we'll see if we can get them to go again. Not quite sure what the whistle was for, or what the stoppage was for. Seems like an official didn't like the way that it started. It did seem to me that the swimmers in lane 4 and the swimmers in lane 3 were not quite ready. So in lane 1 for Oswego, Ashton Laird, Caitlin Wheeler, Fionn Hahn, and Chloe Brown. In lane 2 for Brockport, Corinne Wilson, Kyla Bugby, Emily Lafra-Heath, and Sarah Kilburn. Oswego's lane 3, Izzy Daig, Emily Latio, Abby Hinman, and Alexis Limas. In lane 4, Brockport, Viva Vitale, Addie Martino, Madeline Edhart, and Emma Butler. In lane 5, Maura Waite, McKenna Briggs, Anna Baker, and Aurora Jarvie. And in lane 6, Ali Canapali, Samantha Whitman, Emmy Willick, and Elvira Castro. Looks like we're waiting for an official to designate what happened. And that gentleman is currently walking on the close side of the pool on the bottom of your screen. Lane 1, closest to you on the screen at the bottom, moves all the way to the top left corner of your screen with lane 6. And it looks like we are going to be all set to get ready for this second heat and second event here at the Oswego Green and Gold Gala. After Oswego put up an incredible showing in the first event, taking first and second in the men's 200-yard medley relay. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for this, the women's team is currently on the diving boards, prepping and practicing for their event, and we'll just pan our camera over so you can take a look at that. Diving well off to the left, 12-foot diving well, 2 1-meter boards, 1 3-meter board, and we will today have both 1 and 3-meter diving. In the main pool, looks like people are just looking to cool back off from the energy level that they spent just pushing through that false start at the beginning, and it is going to be, looks like a minute until we get everybody back on track here in the lane pool. Now, someone you really need to be looking out for here on the Brockport women's team is Sarah Kilburn, hailing in from Watertown, New York. Put up 582.2 points this season already. She's a free and fly swimmer, primarily sprinter by definition, and has had some incredible times. She's a junior, like I said, in from Watertown, and she is currently in lane 2 for Brockport. So definitely keep an eye on lane 2 for Brockport. That is going to be a challenge and a half for this Oswego State women's swimming team today. Like I said, the women's team is currently warming up on the diving boards, getting some repetitions in before they have their dives coming up in just a couple of minutes. But before then, it looks like we are still going back and forth with the coaching staff to get everybody on the same page as to what exactly happened here for the opener of the women's events here at the Green and Gold Gala at the Oswego Natatorium on WTOP 10. It looks like we have swimmers in the water, but the swimmers seem like they are getting in and getting out. Brockport looking like they're getting ready in lane 2, but lane 4 has nobody in it yet. Looks like the backstroke swimmers are just now re-entering the water. And that's going to be Vincent Mullen on the short end of your screen, who just brought home an incredible free time to allow Oswego to take home that first place in the opener event here at the event in Oswego. And they're off. It's a close race between lanes 2, 3, and 4 to Brockport, to Oswego. Good at the turn, almost identical. Seems like maybe lane 4 with Brockport is just slightly ahead. And that's going to be Viva Vitale. Vitale slightly ahead of Wilson. It's going to be a close for this first portion. Times say 30.57, 31.25 for Oswego in lane 3. And as you can see at the bulkhead there, Zach Brown encouraging his teammates. Little bit long on the turn there for Emily Latito. And she might be able to catch back up to this Brockport swimmer. She's got quite the length on those breaststrokes. She is trying her hardest, but that is going to be Brockport in front with a 102.86, followed by Oswego 105.14, followed by Brockport at 106.72. Followed by Oswego at 111.52 with a crazy split for 6th place in 111.59. Good, strong flip at the turn. Very, very strong fly stroke from Abby Heinman, and as well from Madeline Earhart, Madeline is pulling away with this fly stroke, and she is going to get a strong lead for this closer swimmer, Emma Butler, in lane 4. But look at this, Brockport attempting to catch back up. Can Brockport repeat what Oswego did in the first heat, taking first and second, and it looks like it's going to be close between lanes 2 and 3. It's going to be Brockport in front, followed by Brockport again, and Brockport is going to do on the women's side what the men's team was able to do for Oswego in heat number 1. Final times, lane 4 coming in first for Brockport at a 158.45, followed by a very close split, 0.6 of a second split between lanes 2 and 3, with Brockport taking the second place in this heat, 159.09, followed by Oswego in lane 3 with a 159.67, nearly 0.6 of a second faster than Oswego. And what an incredible showing by this women's team to come back from what seemed like a fairly solid Oswego women's second place to take out Oswego from the top 2 and push that lane 3 group back down to 3rd place. And following up this is going to be one of the longer events that we have today. We have the men's 1,000-yard freestyle. That is quite a long race. And we have a pretty good number of swimmers here. All 6 lanes will be filled for the men's 1,000-yard freestyle. In lane 1, we've got Nicholas Mahan. Lane 2, Mike Lavani. In lane 3, Ryan Liedka. Lane 4, Jace Fredrickson. Lane 5, Jake Sarnowski, and lane 6, Ryan Sampson. And here they are on the marks. Off they go for the 1,000-yard. On the bulkhead are all of the counters, helping them remember what lap and what length they are currently swimming. Now, these lane counters for the laps are extremely important because these swimmers are going to be absolutely exhausted by the end of this 1,000-yard swim. So 1,000 yards, 1 mile of swimming. Currently in the SUNYAC, the 1,000-yard is a fairly rarely swam event. Obviously swam at the SUNYAC Championships, but not something that is swam in a regular event. Now, off to the left is going to be our divers starting their frequencies. And we are starting with Amber. Amber is a freshman for the Oswego State Lakers. Has a good showing. And we will cut back to the swimming laps and the lengths, but meanwhile, we are actually going to pan to the left and cover some diving for a moment so that everybody can get a chance to take a look at that. A 7, a 6.5, and a 6.5. Not a bad showing for a first dive here. .103C is going to be a forward disregard 1.5 flip tuck. Something that Mackenzie is fairly used to doing. And a good score should come from this. 5, 5.5, and a 6. And a 104C, a forward disregard 2 flips in a tuck position for the Brockport women's diving team. A 5, a 4.5, and a 5 given to the Brockport women's divers. And Oswego Lakes, excuse me, my goodness. Oswego State's Serena up for her dive. A 6, a 5.5, and a 6 given to Serena. And Brockport is going to be attempting a 105C, and that's going to be a forward disregard 2.5 flip. Adjustment here on the 1 meter board for the spring of that board, something I learned fairly recently. Adjustment there is made to allow for springing and not springiness of the diving board. Brockport also has a diver on the 3 meter board. A 6, a 6, and a 6.5. Seems like on the very far end is going to be diving coach Scott Horingston from the Brockport Golden Eagles, who seems to be giving some advice to his divers here as they attempt to dive in for maximum amount of points possible. In the green shirt on the left in the middle for your judges is going to be diving coach Daniel Roche from the Oswego State Lakers. And here's Amber back up for her dive on the 1 meter. Meanwhile, in the lap pool, coming up on lap 19. So the 1,000-yard swim is going to be a 66 length swim, and they are just about halfway through at the moment. And I will say that is a fairly impressive feat to pull off in under 10 or 12 minutes. I don't think I could get anywhere near that sort of number. Mackenzie back up at the diving board for Oswego. Good numbers shown for Mackenzie, a 5, a 5, and a 6 for her dive. A 203C for Brockport here. Be a back 1.5. Oh, and a good attempt at the dive. Not going to get good scores, but that's okay. It was a really good takeoff, just did not seem to land properly. A 2, a 3.5, and a 3 across the board from all three judges. Serena back on the second 1 meter board for Oswego State. And a middle of the road showing. Good dive overall. 4.5, a 4, and a 4.5. And you see Coach Dan Roach in the middle just attempting to help coach over his divers for those dives. And Brockport back up on the 3 meter board. For the 1 meter board, a 6, a 5.5, and a 5.5. And as you can hear in the background, Oswego and Brockport, both teams encouraging their 1,000-yard swimmers who are approaching length number 29. So we are almost halfway. We're looking for magic number 33. 33 is the magic number. Currently, Brockport is in the lead in lane 4 with a 9:23.88, followed very closely by Oswego State in lane 5 with a 9:28.44. Amber back up on the 1 meter for Oswego State. Amber, like I said, a freshman in, just joining this diving team here this semester. While I was here watching their practice actually a couple of days ago, Amber had just begun to attempt her 3 meter dives, which seemed like they were going fairly well. Now, according to my notes and the roster for today, she will not be competing in the 3 meter today, but I would keep your eye out. There's a possibility that we could see her on that 3 meter board in the very near future. Lane 5 for Oswego in second place with a 10-minute at the split. There's the whistle for halfway. Second place, Oswego State, 10 minutes, 38 seconds, 38.4 seconds in lane 5. Brockport in first place in lane 4. Mackenzie back up on the 1 meter with a strong tuck dive. With a 4, 4.5, and a 5.5 shown. Strong dive from Mackenzie. Brockport in first, 11:03.2, followed by Oswego, 11:12.5, as they finish up their laps for the 1,000 yard. We will pan back over, away from diving, back to the pool for the conclusion of the 1,000 yard swim. Oswego's Serena back up on the 1 meter board. And I apologize in advance for folks watching at home. It is extremely difficult to hear what dives they are specifically attempting. They are not using the public addressing system inside of the stadium for diving at the moment. They are using a very small loudspeaker that is announcing right behind the judges, but facing away from us in the broadcasting booth. Brockport on the 1 meter, as well as their secondary diver up on the 3 meter, ready for their dive. Final results, Brockport in first for the 1,000 yard with 11:03.2, followed by Oswego with 11 minutes 12.53 seconds, followed by Brockport in lane 2 with an 11:24.34, followed by Oswego in lane 3 with a 11:42.95. In lane 6 with Brockport taking 5th place, 12:15.86, followed by lane 1 taking 6th place for Oswego, 12:24.6. Now we transition from the men's event to the women's event. They're on the blocks. In lane 2, we have Brienne Westfall for Brockport. Lane 3, Izzy Daig for Oswego. Lane 4, Hannah Pauley for Brockport. And lane 5, Anna Baker for Oswego. Now, of all of the individuals, both men's and women's, that swim the 1,000 yard today, Izzy Daig for Oswego is the only one with a seed time listed for today's meet with an 11:46.27. And we will see how that bodes for her today. And it's going to be Izzy in front for the beginning of their meet with a 31.73 for her first lap. Followed closely by Brockport in lane 2, followed by Brockport in lane 3, followed by Oswego in lane 5. Keeping an eye out on that right-hand side of your screen, you'll be able to see those sign holders on the bulkhead, in between the diving well and the pool. And you'll be able to see those swimmers doing their flip turn at the turn, heading back to the other end of the pool. Onto the diving well. A 6, a 5.5, and a 6 for Brockport. Mackenzie Jewett, a good showing today. 5.5, a 5, and a 5 across the board for her dive. We're at the 2 minute and 15 second mark in the 1,000 yard women's relay, race in the lap pool. Oswego with a hefty lead in lane 3, and that's going to be Izzy Daig, which we had said at the beginning to keep a very close eye on. Izzy Daig is going to be almost a 3/4 of a length ahead of the next diver at the split, 2:51.38. Next fastest swimmer looks like it's going to be Brockport in lane 2, and it will be, with a 3:01.10, followed by Oswego in Brockport in lane 4 with a 3:02.44, and a very close split with lane 5, a 3:02.81. And as you can hear in the background, folks, people are cheering mightily for both sides of this competition today. And from diving, we will pan back over to the lap pool. Currently leading is still Izzy Daig with an incredible 4:37.02. A full 25 seconds faster than the next person. A 4:53.75 for Brockport in lane 2 for Westfall, followed by Pauly in lane 4 with a 4:55.5, and a lane 5 is going to be Anna Baker with a follow of 4:55.51. 1/10,000th of a second split between the swimmers in lane 4 and in lane 5. Now, as I said before, Izzy Daig is a fairly hard individual to beat, especially in this event. She's the only one with a seed time of both men's and women's swimming this event today here at the Oswego Natatorium. Again, my name is Connor Dickman. Thank you very much for joining us here on WTOP 10 and the live stream on YouTube through the SUNY Oswego Athletics page. Izzy Daig at the split, 5:47.41. As she heads down her length of lap, as the others are attempting to finish their lap. Quite the split difference between the swimmers and Izzy Daig in lane 3. Over in diving, Mackenzie back up on the diving board. Moderate size splash, really decent dive, 5.5, 5.5, and a 5 across the board from the 3 judges. As I said before, crowd is fairly well built in today. It's a lot of visiting parents and family members and friends from Brockport schools, seeing as Brockport is but a mere hour and 20 minutes down the road, as well as a fairly decent showing from our Oswego State family, both those friends and family from in the area, as well as students, a whole handful of students sitting in our designated student section for the swimming and diving competition today. As I said before, home opener for Oswego against Brockport. They were on the road most recently against Wells College, if you don't count the invitational that they went into about a month ago. Not even a month ago, sorry, about a couple of weeks ago. They were back up on the 17th and 18th of November in Potsdam for the North Country Invitational. Quite the overlook there for the North Country Invitational. St. Michael's, Oswego State, Clarkson University, Oneonta, and SUNY Potsdam, all individuals that were participating in said events. However, the Lakers this season, pretty middle of the road, 50-50 almost. They opened up their season on the road this year on October 21st against Oneonta, took a win there. And then they were on the road for November 4th against Clarkson, took a loss to Clarkson on the road in Clarkson and their natatorium. Then went on the road to Wells College on the 11th and took a win and a dub there in their pool on the road. And here we are after the North Country Invitational up north in the North Country, obviously with the North Country Invitational. Following that is now our home opener. And here we are in the Oswego State Natatorium. Now, you wouldn't be able to tell this by just looking at the video, which is one of the exciting parts that I feel about swimming. If you take a look at lane 3, you would imagine that she is swimming along just the same as everyone else. However, she is a full lap ahead. Izzy Daig in 8:42.87. Now let's look at Brockport for just a moment. Brockport also opened their season this year on the 21st on the road with Cortland. They took away a win there and then went on the road on the 28th against Oneonta. On the road against Oneonta, took a win in that area too. Then they played 2 meets home in their home pool. Swam 2 meets home in their pool on November 4th, once against Geneseo, once against Fredonia. One against the Blue Devils at home in their pool. However, lost to the Blue Waves in Geneseo, who, by the way, the women's team ranked 11th in all of D3 nationwide, not just SUNYAC, but nationwide, number 11 for the women's Blue Waves from SUNY Geneseo. Took a loss there on the road for Brockport. So here they are, here on the road for this Green and Gold Gala on this opening weekend for the swim and dive team home. Now, once they finish this meet out here in a couple of hours, they will not have another home meet until the middle to end of January. So they've got quite the drought going for their home meets. Women's 1 meter still happening over in the diving well. Izzy Daig in front with a 10:28.13, followed closely by a 10:31.71, which is a pretty good showing for the women's 1,000-yard freestyle. Again, we thank you for joining us here on our live stream today. Trying some new things. And there's your signal for Izzy Daig for her final lap from the official. And see if she turns on the afterburners, and she does, attempting to push even further. With her current seed time being 11:46.27, looks like she has an opportunity to blow that out of the water here for today's meet. Again, lane 3, third lane in from the bottom of your screen is Izzy Daig. And it looks like she's going to do it by almost 10 full seconds. And 11:37.19 for Izzy Daig in lane 3. One more lap for the remainder of these swimmers. It's going to be lane 5, Anna Baker, who is leading in front. Strong at the turn, not looking like she's going to give up any energy anytime soon. And here come the afterburners for Anna Baker in lane 5, followed by Hannah Pauley in lane 4. And it's going to be Oswego State that takes first and second in lane 5 with Baker. Daig and Baker wrapping up the top 2, followed by Pauley in lane 4, and Westfall wrapping up the top 4 for Brockport in lane 2. Oswego's Izzy Daig putting up an 11:37.19. Next fastest time, 12:19.36. An impressive split for this team. Moving forward from the women's 1,000-yard freestyle, we'll be moving into the men's 200-yard freestyle. In lane 1, Duncan Smith for Oswego. Lane 2, Jace Fredrickson for Brockport. Matt Dambra in Oswego. Lane 3, Luca Oliveri for Brockport in lane 4. Ryan Murphy in lane 5 for Oswego. And Mike Laviani in lane 6, wrapping up our 6 swimmers for today's men's 200-yard freestyle. Matt Dambra is an impressive swimmer, and his times are looking fairly impressive. Oswego putting up some impressive times this season. And they're off. Good off the blocks. Solid start for all the swimmers. Looks like it's going to be very, very close between Dambra and Oliveri. Almost equal at the flip. Followed very closely by Ryan Murphy in lane 5. Now keep your eye on Matt Dambra in lane 3. He's going to be just a split second ahead, taking a 25.55, with Luca Oliveri turning a 26.12, my apologies. Oswego currently 1 and 2, followed by Brockport taking 3rd. At the 45-second mark, heading back down to finish off the first 100 of the 200 yards. And it's going to be Dambra in first, followed by Smith in second, followed by Oliveri in third. 53.62, 54.110, and 54.49. Quite the push for Oswego, and it looks like Luca Oliveri is turning on the afterburners, and he's trying to catch back up to the leader. He's already taken second place. He's pushing back to try and take back that first place split. And it's going to be close, 121.92 and 122.77. It's going to be a close flip here, heading into the last 50 as they finally run out the top of this 200. It is neck and neck, a hand with a head for Matt Dambra and Luca Oliveri. And here they come down the final split. This is going to be close. Who's going to take it? Oliveri is trying his hardest. Is he going to take it? And it's going to look like it's Oswego's Matt Dambra with a 149.75, and Luca Oliveri taking second with 149.95, a 0.2 of a second split between first and second. Quite the showing for both Oswego and Brockport in this event. And as you could hear, the crowd got fired up with that comeback. For a whole 150 of that 200, we had a pretty decent showing of Oswego in first and second, and then Luca Oliveri turns on the afterburners and just overtakes Duncan Smith in the lane 1 space at the bottom of your screen to take that second place in this heat. What an incredible showing, and a much needed cool down for these swimmers as they head towards the bulkhead as we line up for the 200-yard freestyle women's match. In lane 1 for Oswego, Chloe Brown. Lane 2, Emmy Wilk for Brockport. Lane 3, Jana Lafayette for Oswego. In lane 4, Emily Lefroy-Heath for Brockport. In lane 5, McKenna Briggs for Oswego. And in lane 6, Ether Zadov for Brockport. And the swimmers are on the blocks, ready to take their marks. And we're off. Strong, almost identical dive-ins for these 6 women's swimmers here in this 200-yard freestyle. And it's going to be close between lanes 3, 4, and 5. Lafayette, Lafroy, Heath, and Briggs neck and neck coming into the end of the first 50. And it's going to be Lafroy Heath in front, followed by Lafayette, followed by Briggs. A 29:30, followed by a 29:58, followed by a 29:89. And that is a close time for these Brockport swimmers, attempting to dethrone this Oswego lead that the men have helped build up in this lap length. And it's going to be Brockport. Lafroy Heath still in front, followed by Lafayette in lane 3, followed by lane 5's McKenna Briggs, wrapping up the top 3. And as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, dead smack in the middle of that pool, they are neck and neck. But Brockport definitely stronger at the turn. But here comes Oswego as Jana Laferriere attempts to build her back into that first place spot. But Emily Lafroy Heath attempting to keep her out of the front. Emily in front, followed by Jana, followed by McKenna. Emily Lafroy Heath strong at the turn. Heading in. Here's McKenna Briggs turning on her heat to try and catch back up. And it's going to be Emily Lafroy Heath in front with a 2:05.37, followed by Jana Lafayette in lane 3 with a 2:06.07, followed by McKenna Briggs in lane 5 with a 2:10.33. A strong showing for Emily Lafroy Heath in lane 3 for Brockport. All right, my apologies, lane 4 for Brockport. A good showing for the women's in this heat for 200-yard freestyle. However, as they cool down, we move right in to the 100-yard backstroke for men's. In lane 2, lane 1's going to be empty. Lane 2, Garrett Nana for Brockport. Zach Brown, someone to keep your eye on, for Oswego in lane 3. Matt Cole for Brockport in lane 4. Michael Deckers in lane 5 for Oswego. And Gavin Stone in lane 6 for Brockport. Zach Brown and Mike Deckers, two very strong swimmers. However, Mike Deckers has never swam this event before. He was talking to me before this event today, and he has never swam this event. This is his first time, so it'll be interesting to see how well he does for this event today. Swimmers are into the water, obviously with backstroke, starting in the water, holding on to the handles. And they're off. A strong showing. Keep your eye on lane 3 for Zach Brown and lane 4 for Matt Cole. That is going to be the battle of the day for this backstroke. However, Zach Brown is ranked in the SUNY currently for his backstroke, and he is in lane 3, dead smack in the middle of your screen. Zach Brown is going to take in front, 26.83 at the start, followed very closely by Matt Cole with a 29.70. A very close race. Zach Brown starting to pull away very strongly, though, in lane 3. Zach Brown almost a quarter of a length ahead of the next person, Matt Cole in lane 4. And we're going to have almost a half a second split between... It's going to be a 5-second split between Zach Brown in lane 3 for Oswego taking first with a 55.69, and Matt Cole in lane 4 with a 1 minute on the dot 54. Rounding out the top 2. Number 3 is going to be Garrett Nana in lane 2 with a 104.92. Taking fourth is going to be Gavin Stone in lane 6 with a 111.46. And taking fifth is going to be lane 5, Michael Deckers 1:16.18. A strong showing for Oswego's Zach Brown to round out the top of this men's 100-yard backstroke. And while the men's 100-yard backstroke is heading to the end of the pool for their cool down, we move into the women's 100-yard backstroke. We are going to have a 10 or 15 minute break for our swimmers to take a breather in between the end of the 50-yard freestyle for women's and the 100-yard freestyle for men's. In lane 2, lane 1 empty, lane 2 Corinne Wilson for Brockport, followed by lane 3 Maura Waite for Oswego, followed by lane 4 Sarah Kilburn for Brockport, followed by lane 5 Ashton Laird for Oswego, followed by Elvira Castro in lane 6. Really keep your eye on Sarah Kilburn. This is an event that she does not swim, according to her statistics, very often, and here we go. And they're off. A strong showing here in lane 4 for Sarah Kilburn, who's going to be in front. Sarah Kilburn, one of those individuals that you really want to make sure you keep your eye on. Her and Zach Brown, now there's a race I would love to see. Sarah Kilburn at the split, 31.65, followed by lane 2's Corinne Wilson for Brockport at a 34.74, third and fourth in for Oswego. And I stand corrected, lane 3, Maura Waite is actually not racing in this race, so I apologize for the confusion. Everything that I do up here is by paper, not by digital, so I don't get the updates as everybody gets them. And it's going to be Sarah Kilburn in fourth. In lane 4, in first with a 105.88, followed by Corinne Wilson in lane 2 with a 109.64, followed by Elvira Castro for Brockport in lane 6, taking third with a 119.50. And it looks like lane 5 may not have actually registered when Ashton Laird finished her race. So they will have to go back and adjust that in the post for the coaches. And they are looking like they're attempting to figure out when exactly she crossed and touched for that line. But it looks like they will give her score a little bit later for her time. Diving wrapping up the first round currently, off to the left in the diving well. On the blocks, however, is the men's 100-yard breaststroke. In lane 1, Ryan Gublow for Oswego, Jonathan Abram for Brockport in lane 2, Nathan Radivine in Oswego for Oswego in lane 3, Josh Lazonis in Brockport in lane 4, and Ryan Ledika in lane 5 for Oswego. Somebody that you really want to pay attention to, Nathan Radivine. That is an individual for Oswego specifically who could make or break how well they do this season. Lane 1, obviously closest to you on your screen, on the bottom of your screen. Lane 6 being the furthest away. Lane 6 currently empty, no swimmer in lane 6. And it looks like we are waiting for the scoreboard to reset. And here we go. On the blocks they go. Nathan Radivine giving a last little chest bump before we go. And they're off. Strong showing from Nathan Radivine, who's already a hand ahead of the rest of the competition. This is one of those ones that is very exciting to watch. Always fast-paced and never a dull moment. Nathan Radivine in front, followed by Ryan Ledika in the 5th lane. And it's going to be a close race between Josh Lazonis and Ryan Ledika in lanes 4 and 5. But it will be an easy Nathan Radivine 29.77 at the split for lane 3, following closely by Ryan Ledika at a 33.64, followed by Ryan Gublow at a 33.94 in lane 1. So Oswego has an opportunity to swipe all 3 top spots here in this men's 100-yard breaststroke. It's going to be close. Nathan Radivine obviously ahead, finishes at a 103.81, but it's going to be close between Ryan and Josh and Jonathan. And it's going to be Brockport that takes second place. Josh Lazonis with a 112.56, followed by Ryan Ladika with a 112.62. A close split for second and third. Fourth place, a 112.76 from Ryan Gublow. A very close split between second, third, and fourth, with a almost blowout for Nathan Redivine in lane 3. And as our breaststroker for men's head down the way, we take on the women's 100-yard breaststroke. In lane 1, Caitlin Wheeler for Oswego. Lane 2, Kayla Bugby for Brockport. Lane 3, Emily Latito for Oswego. Lane 4, Addie Martino for Brockport. Lane 5, Aurora Jarvie for Oswego. And lane 6, Quinn Rapazzo for Brockport. And as you can see in the bottom of your screen there, Zach Brown is that individual there, the defending champion for the... Here we go on the marks. Off they go. Zach Brown, the defending 200-yard breast first place SUNYAC champion. And here we go for women's 100-yard breaststroke. And as you can hear, the teammates of these swimmers encouraging them forward as their heads break out the water. You will hear it. And it's going to be Brockport slightly in front for Addie Martino in lane 4. Addie Martino a heavy lead, 34-36, followed by Emily Latito in lane 3 with a 35-58, followed by lane 2's Kayla Bugby with a 36-17, wraps out the top 3 as they head in to the second of their 50 meters to make up their 100-yard swim. And it's going to be Addie Martino in lane 4 who's going to take this home. And it looks like Oswego has a chance to take second and third, and we shall see what they can pull out. And it looks like that is exactly what is going to happen. My correction, that is not what's going to happen. First place is going to be given to Addie Martino with a 112.51, followed by lane 3's Emily Latito with a 117.16, followed by lane 2's Kayla Bugby for Brockport with a 117.16. Moving forward to the men's 200-yard butterfly. And as I said before, a very large crowd here for the home opener for SUNY Oswego, and lots of visitors in from SUNY Brockport, seeing as they are just a mere couple of hours down the road. Lane 1's Lucas McCreary for Oswego. Lane 2, Logan Kine for Brockport. Lane 3, Jake Cernowski for Oswego. Lane 4 is Matthew Chan for Brockport. Lane 5, Van Wilton for Oswego. And lane 6, Joseph Keeney for Brockport as the whistle from the official indicates to start. And I apologize, Van Wilton for Oswego will not be racing in this for lane 5. Lane 5 will be empty. And they're off. This butterfly stroke, one of the harder ones for people to swim, takes a whole lot of pectoral and upper body strength, as well as that leg strength for that butterfly kick, that dolphin kick style on the back half. And that is an incredible feat of strength for these swimmers. And it's going to be Lucas McGarry for Oswego in lane 1, who's taking the front with 29.30 at the split, followed by Oswego's lane 3, Jake Sarnowski for a 31.03, followed by Brockport's lane 4, Matthew Chan. And here they go back in to finish up the first half of this 200 yard. I'm going to keep saying meter, I apologize, 200 yard as we finish the 100 of the 200 yards in this competition. And it looks like it's going to be very close. Lane 4's Matthew Chance takes it in front with a 104.76, followed by Lane 2's Lucas McGarry with a 105.63, followed by Lane 3's Jake Sarnowski with a 105.64. And it looks like Brockport's Matthew Chan is going to have an opportunity to run away with this, as they finish heading towards the 150 of 200 mark. It's going to be Matthew Chan who's going to have a sizable lead over the top. And it's going to be Matthew Chan coming in with his 150 time of 137.89, heading into the last 50 meters, heading from lane 3, Jake Sarnowski, who's going to take a 140.109, and we're going to switch it to Lucas McGarry in lane 1 with a 146.98, which rounds out the top 3 of this competition. And here comes Matthew Chan in the final 25, heading back towards that starting block to finish out strong for Brockport's showing of this 200-yard butterfly. And it's going to be close between Lucas McGarry and then the Brockport swimmer in lane 2, Logan Kime. Oswego's looks like they're trying their hardest to stay on top of it. Can McGarry stay on top of it and get Kime out of the top? Kime out of the top 3, and it looks like he can with a 227.81, which wraps out the top 3. Brockport's Matthew Chan takes a 212.74, followed by Oswego's Jake Sarnowski takes a 216.93. And rounding out the top 3 is Oswego's Lucas McGarry by a mere short win of 227.81 to 229.29 in lane 2 for Logan Kime. A close competition there at the end in that last 50 yards for these swimmers in the 100-yard butterfly men's. Now moving on to the 100-yard butterfly women's. In lane 1, empty. Lane 2, Emma Butler for Brockport. Abby Heineman in lane 3 for Oswego. Madeline Earhart in lane 4 for Brockport. Fionn Hahn for Oswego in lane 5. And Maya Upcraft for Brockport in lane 6. And as you can see, the head coach is very involved here on the sidelines. Oswego's head coach, Mike Holman, is standing there with his swimmers, encouraging them along, and as well as head coach Zach Wall for Brockport Golden Eagles on that far poolside. And they're off for the women's 200-yard butterfly. Quite the showing here for Abby Heineman for Oswego, who is taking a fairly sizable lead, followed by Fionn Hahn in lane 5, who are keeping pace fairly well with each other. But here comes Brockport's Emma Butler in lane 2, who's going to be pushing all the way through this 200 yards. And it's going to be Abby Heineman in front, followed by Emma Butler, followed by followed by Fionn Hahn, followed by Emma Butler. Emma Butler rounds out the top 3. Fionn Hahn and Abby Heineman. Hahn and Heineman are really pushing hard, pushing for each other. They are gonna, looks like they're gonna try and take the top 2 of 3 in this heat. And as you see, their teammates on the bulkhead and the pool sides cheering them on, yelling and screaming for them to continue keeping up this body-breaking workout that is the butterfly swim. Now, I have not swam personally competitively since 8th grade when I swam in modified, so I cannot tell you how difficult this is, but I can tell you that when I did attempt to swim this recently with this team for fun, I got absolutely blown out of the water, and it was a wild time to experience. And here we go, rounding out, coming down the stretch is going to be, see who takes it. At the split is going to be Abby Heinman with a 155.34, followed by Fionn Hahn with a 158.77, followed closely by Madeline Earnhardt in lane 4 with a 159.87 as they head in to the last 50 yards of this swim. Brockport team cheering their teammates on from both the bulkhead and the side of the pool, attempting to get this team to catch back up and find their energy as lane 4, Madeline Earnhardt attempts to overtake lane 5's Fionn Hahn to take second place in this final 50 yards. And will she be able to do it? It doesn't look like it, and she will not. Oswego will round out the top 2 of 3 in this heat. Abby Heinman putting up an impressive time of 2:35.47, followed by Fionn Hahn in lane 5 with a 2:38.12, following very closely by Madeline Earnhardt in lane 4 with Brockport at a 2:38.96. And that's all we have for 200-yard butterfly for men's and women's, as those swimmers end their pool time by swimming down to cool down. And as we hear Oswego cheer for the fact that they took first and second in that heat, we move on to the men's 50-yard freestyle, a very fast event. Lane 1, Jackson Viganoa for Oswego. Alex Gaglione in lane 2 for Brockport. Matt Dambra in lane 3 for Oswego. Lane 4 is Jack Olsian for Brockport. Lane 5, Vincent Mullen for Oswego. And Jacob Hagen for Brockport, rounding out those 6 swimmers in lane 6. Some swimmers to keep an eye on, and some very impressive seed times from some of these swimmers in this competition here today. And like I said before, the 50-yard free is a fast event. So make sure that you stay glued to that screen, because if you blink, you will miss this. We're expecting between 20 and 25 seconds for all 6 of these swimmers. And here they go onto their marks. Vincent Mullen doing a very high jump onto his block. And they're off. As you can see, tons of swimmers cheering this team on for a true 50-yard sprint time. And it's hard to tell who's in front coming into the first 25, heading back down to the other end of the pool. It looks like it's going to be Matt Dambra in front, but you can't quite tell through all the splashing. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Matt Dambra with a 22.59 and Vincent Mullen with a 22.98 for Oswego, followed by Brockport's Jack Olsian rounding out the top 3 with a 23.06. An impressive showing by all of these swimmers. Now this next event is the last event that we have before our brief break, about 10 minutes that we're going to give our swimmers to breathe and take a breath, take a drink of water, take a break, and relax. However, this heat is going to be a little different. There are 2 heats inside of this event. There's going to be a swimming group of 5, then a swimming group of 3 of all Brockport. And then obviously from there we will put the times together. So this first heat, lane 1 is going to be empty. Maddie Perovic for Brockport in lane 2. Jana Lafieri in lane 3 for Oswego. Lane 4 for Brockport, Emily Lefroy-Heath. In lane 5 for Oswego, Alexia Lemus. In lane 6, Emma Purvis for Brockport. Again, a fast showing, around 25 to 26 seconds on average for these swimmers in this event so far this season. And they're off for heat 1 of 2 of the women's 50-yard freestyle. A significantly fast showing for these swimmers on this mark as they flip turn through into the second half of this 50 yards into a true final sprint, afterburners on, all the way through to the end. And it's going to be Brockport's Emily Lefroy-Heath that takes first with a 26.20, followed by lane 3's Jana Lafieri for Oswego. Followed very closely by Brockport's Maddie Perovic for 26 with a 26.74. like I said, now we have a second heat. All Brockport swimmers, going to be lanes 2, 4, and 6. And we're going to go in order, same way, and then we will take a brief intermission in between this and our next segment. When we get back, it'll be the 100-yard freestyle for men's. However, in lane 2 for Brockport, Isi Yildiz. In lane 4, Leah Allen Camella. And in lane 6, Hannah Pauley. All Brockport swimmers, like I said before. Something that you don't see very often. Like I said, last event before we take our 10-minute intermission, and they're on their blocks. Off they go. Like I said, all Brockport swimmers in this heat. No challenge competition from Oswego. And as they flip turn, heading back down the pool to finish out their 50-yard sprint is going to be lane 4's Leah Allen Camella, who's going to be in front of all other swimmers. With a time of 27:96, takes first in this heat. Take second is going to be lane 2's Isi Yildiz with a 28:75. And in lane 6 is going to be third place with Hannah Pauley, 30:16. We are going to take a brief 10-minute break, give everybody a chance to breathe, give our swimmers a chance to grab some water and catch their breath, and me to get a glass of water and catch my breath as well. And when we get back, we'll go right in to the 100-yard freestyle for men's and women's here in the Oswego Natatorium on WTOP 10.
Mike.
You leaving, Tony? No.
We welcome you back inside the Oswego State Natatorium here in Oswego, New York. And we thank you for joining us here on WTOP 10. I'm Connor Dickman. Thank you very much for tuning in today for our home opener for the Oswego State Lakers and the visiting Brockport Golden Eagles here in Oswego. Moving out of our break into the men's 100-yard freestyle. In lane 1, Duncan Smith. In lane 2, Alex Scaglione. Matt Dambra not racing in this race, it seems. Oh, there he is. Never mind. I lied. Matt Dambra in lane 3 for Oswego. Jack Olzian in lane 4 for Brockport. Vincent Mullen in lane 5 for Oswego. And Joseph Keeney for Brockport, rounding out those swimmers in the 6th lane. Remember, lane 1, closest to you, bottom of your screen. Lane 6, furthest away from you, top of your screen. There's the whistle to take their block. And we're off in the men's 100-yard freestyle here in the Natatorium. In front is going to be lane 3's Matt Dambra, following very closely by lane 2's Alex Scaglione for Brockport. And it's going to be Dambra in front, followed by Scaglione, followed by Vincent Mullen in lane 5. 2 Oswego, 1 Brockport in the top 3 currently, heading into the last sprint of this 100 yards. And here they come. Matt Dambra in first, and here comes Jack Olsian. And rounding out this heat will be Matt Dambra taking first with a 50.41, followed closely by Alex Scaglione with a 51.05. And Vincent Mullen taking third for Oswego State in lane 5 with a 52.84, rounds out the top 3 for the men's 100-yard freestyle. Moving into our next event, number 16, the women's 100-yard freestyle. A full docket for this event today. Alexia Lemus in lane 1 for Oswego. Emma Butler in lane 2 for Brockport. Jana Lafieri in lane 3 for Oswego. Sarah Kilburn in lane 4 for Brockport. McKenna Briggs in lane 5 for Oswego. And Corinne Wilson in lane 6 for Brockport. As we await our swimmer from lane 3 last round, Matt Dambra, to exit the pool so that we can move on to our women's 100-yard freestyle. Some pretty fast times, 57.23, 57.60, 58.64 for those that have recorded times in their seed times for our stats. Whistle onto the blocks, and here we go. And they're off. Full speed heading into the first 25 of this 100 yards. Good strong at the flip. Brockport's Sarah Kilburn leading the way with a very, very close overtake by McKenna Briggs in lane 5. And it looks like it's going to be... That's not. It's going to be Sarah Kilburn by a hair. Sarah Kilburn in front at the turn, 27.58, followed very closely by McKenna Briggs with a 27.66, less than a tenth of a second split between the two. And it's 2 Oswego, 1 Brockport coming into the end as they turn on the afterburners to push all the way to the wall. And it's going to be Sarah Kilburn in front with a 56.89, followed by McKenna Briggs in lane 5 for Oswego with a 57.20, followed very closely by Oswego's Jana Lafieri in lane 3 with a 57.97, rounds out the top 3. Oswego men's score currently 76-55 for Brockport. Oswego women 51 to Brockport 78. A very close match for this event today. Home opener, like I said, for Oswego here in Oswego, New York at the Laker Pool. Moving in to the second heat of the women's 100-yard freestyle. All Brockport swimmers, just like we saw before our brief hiatus of swimming. In lane 2, Samantha Whitman for Brockport. Lane 4, Brienne Westfall for Brockport. And in lane 6, Maya Upcraft for Brockport. Brienne Westfall, the 22-year-old swimmer from Brockport, has a fairly impressive time on the time sheet from the SUNYAC. Let's see if that she can hold that up in this race today. And in they go, like I said, all Brockport racers in the even number lanes, 2, 4, and 6, 2 being closest to you, 6 being at the top of your screen. And it's going to be Brienne Westfall who's going to be in front, but only by a small hair. And here comes Maya Upcraft to round out the top. Samantha Whitman in lane 2, closest to you, looks like she might be able to take the lead coming into the 50-yard mark of this 100 yards. And it will be Brianne Westfall in front with a 29.51, followed by Samantha Whitman with a 29.82. As they round up to the 75-yard mark, as they finish out this 100 yards of the 100-yard freestyle for women's this heat. Like I said, all Brockport swimmers for this heat. And it will be lane 4's Brianne Westfall. However, Samantha Whitman in lane 2 claims that she ended at 107.39. Doesn't quite look that way in person, but that's okay. All Brockport swimmers, points are points, and we're moving forward. Moving on from this event as these swimmers do their cool down length back to the other end of the pool. And towards the blocks comes the men's 200-yard backstroke. Matt Cole in lane 2 for Brockport, Zach Brown in lane 3 for Oswego, Luca Oliveri in lane 4 for Brockport, Michael Neckers in lane 5 for Oswego, and Garrett Nana in lane 6. Lane 1 currently empty, lane 1 bottom of your screen. And I apologize, I believe the pronunciation for Luca's last name is Olivieri. I apologize. Luca Olivieri for Brockport in lane 4. Lane 1 empty. In the pool are the swimmers. And off they go. Zach Brown, an individual that has a very, very high tendency to do well in these performances. However, Luca Olivieri is a fairly strong backstroke swimmer from the Brockport Golden Eagles. This, I think, will be a close one. Zach Brown, the third lane in from you on the bottom of your screen, followed by Luca Olivieri, I apologize, the lane above that. And that is what the order will be coming into the split. 28.06 for Brown. Olivieri is going to have a 29.63, followed out the top by Matt Cole for Brockport at 32.38 as Zach Brown flip turns into the last 25 meters of this. I apologize. The last 25 meters of this half of the 200 yards. Quick edits are important. And flip turn, we've made it halfway for Zach Brown on this 100 of the 200 yards in this backstroke competition. Zach Brown leading, followed closely by Luca Olivieri in lane 4. Lane 2's Matt Cole rounding out the top 3. Lane 6's Garrett Nana follows out the top 4, followed by Oswego's Mike Neckers in lane 5. Zach Brown flip turn into the last 50 yards here in this 200-yard backstroke. And like I said before, it's going to be close because here comes Luca Olivieri pushing, turning on the burners to find that last bit of energy to push all the way in to try and catch Zach Brown, who's currently leading into this last 25 yards of the 200-yard backstroke. And it looks like it will be Zach Brown, who takes the first place with a 2:05.19, followed very closely by Luca Olivieri in lane 4 with a 2:06.55. Rounding out the top 3 will be Brockport's Matt Cole in lane 2 with a 2:16.20. And still yet to finish, lane 6 Garrett Nana is currently just about to finish, and rounding out the top 5 is going to be Mike Neckers, who is pushing his hardest in an event that he does not normally swim to get all the way to the end. And it looks like he will do it, reaching very long arm back towards that back wall to touch that block to get out of that race. And Oswego will take 1 position, and Brockport will take the other 2. Brockport takes first and third. Or sorry, second and third, I apologize. And Oswego will take first with Oswego's Zach Brown. Moving from the men's 200-yard backstroke into the women's 200-yard backstroke. In lane 1, Ashton Laird. In lane 2, Maddie Perovic. In lane 3, Izzy Daig. In lane 4, Maya Vitale. In lane 5, Fionn Hahn. And in lane 6, Essa Yildiz. Some strong swimmers here. 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Currently, Izzy Daig heading up this group of swimmers with her seed time, 2:18:01, which is a fairly impressive seed time for this event. Waiting for the whistle from the officials to have them get in the pool, and there it is. They may enter. And swimmers are ready for the 200-yard backstroke. And off they go in this women's 200-yard backstroke. Into the flip turn is going to be lane 3's Izzy Daig leading it out, followed closely by Maddie Perovic, followed closely by Maya Vitale. And at the turn, it's going to be Izzy Daig in front with a 33.03, followed closely by Maddie Perovic with a 33.19, followed closely by lane 4's Brockport's Maya Vitale with a 33.30. As they head in to this last 25 before they reach the halfway point. Cheers of encouragement coming from both Brockport and Oswego's sidelines. Coaches encouraging their swimmers forward as well as their teammates. And at the split, it's going to be lane 3 in front, which is Izzy Daig in 108.13, followed closely by lane 4's Maya Vitale, who overtook her teammate Maddie Perovic in lane 2. Heading into the 150 mark for this split. And it's going to be close between lanes 4 and 3, and that's going to be between Maya Vitale and Izzy Daig. And it's going to be Maya Vitale who takes the front lead from a 143.31, 0.3 of a second split between her and Izzy Daig in lane 3. As they approach the final flip turn. And off they go. Lane 4's Maya Vitale is going to be in front of Oswego's Izzy Daig coming into this last stretch. It's going to be a close one, but it looks like it will be Brockport's Maya Vitale who takes the first place. 2:17.28 is the time. Followed very closely by Izzy Daig at 2:18.35, and rounding out the top 3 will be Maddie Perovic with a 2:22.02. Now, as these swimmers head towards the next, here cheers from both sidelines, both Oswego and Brockport, excited for their total scores. Oswego men's score currently is 76 points. Oswego men's guest, Brockport putting up 55 for their men. Oswego women's is a 51, with the women's guest being a 78. Moving on from our women's 200-yard backstroke into the 200-yard breaststroke, both for men's and women's, starting obviously with men's. In lane 1, Nicholas Mahan for Oswego, Jonathan Abraham in lane 2 for Brockport, Nathan Radivine for Oswego in lane 3, Josh Lazonis in for Brockport. In lane 4, Ryan Gublow in for Oswego in lane 5, and Jacob Hagan rounding out these 6 swimmers for Brockport in lane 6. And some pretty impressive times. 2:15.71 from Nathan Radivine. That's going to be a time to beat for these Golden Eagles swimmers. And they're off for this 200-yard breaststroke. Now keep an eye on lane 3 from the bottom of your screen, 3 up for Nathan Radivine, who has an incredible 2:15.71. Did have a chance to compete at the SUNY last season in this competition and did fairly well. As you can see, already has a half a body length of lead on the next Brockport swimmer, Josh Lazonis. And it's going to be Nathan Radivine coming into this front 50 in the lead with a 32.17, followed closely by Nicholas Mahan in lane 1 with a 36.07. Rounding out the top 3 in this first 50 will be a 36.27 time from lane 4's Josh Lazonis. And some laughs from the Oswego swimmers cheering on Nathan Radivine, as it seemed like he may have taken an extra couple of breaths there at the turn into his last 100. And it's going to be Nathan Radivine in front with this first 100 done, 50% of the way done with a 1:08.87. With a sizable, almost 8-second lead on the Brockport swimmer, Josh Lazonis in lane 4 with a 1:16.72, with Nicholas Mahan, with a 1:18.6 in the first lane, rounding out the top 3. Nathan Radivine with almost 3/4 of a length of lead coming in to this last bit. And it's going to be Nathan Radivine at the turn heading into the last 50 with a 1:48.37, followed very closely by almost a 10-second split for a 1:58.75 from Josh Lazonis, followed closely by Oswego's Ryan Gublow in lane 5 with a 2:01.20. And it's going to be Nathan Radivine pushing through this last 25 yards to finish out this 200-yard breaststroke for his men's team. And Nathan Radivine will wrap up this top competition at a 2:27.38 in lane 3, and it looks like it's going to be close between which Oswego swimmer will take third. Second place goes to Josh Lazonis from Brockport Golden Eagles with a 2:40 on the dot, following by Nicholas Mahan in lane 1 with a third place finish of 2:43.73, rounds out the top 3 for Oswego. Head coach Zach Wall, assistant coach Chloe Wilson, and assistant coach Rob Wall for the swimming side. Brockport coaches, diving coach Scott Horingston seems to have gone over to work some with his divers. And moving on now to the women's 200-yard breaststroke. And as you can hear in the background, these women's teams are very excited to get this event underway. Lane 1, Caitlin Wheeler for Oswego. Lane 2, Kayla Bugby for Brockport. Lane 3, Emily Latito for Oswego. Lane 4, Addie Martino for Brockport. Lane 5's Aurora Jarvie for Oswego. And lane 6, rounding out the top 6 lanes, Esther Zadov for Brockport Golden Eagles. Here's the whistle for from the officials, taking the blocks. And off they go. And an impressive showing from these swimmers heading into this first 25 yards of this 200-yard swim. And it's going to be close between lanes 3 and 5. Then those both Oswego swimmers. It's going to be Emily Latito in lane 3 and Aurora Jarvie in lane 5. And it's going to be lane 4 for Addie Martino from Brockport, who's going to be pushing hard, as well as Kayla Bugby from lane 2. And the order at the 50-yard mark will be Emily Latito in front, followed closely by Kayla Bugby, followed very closely with a 38.89 from lane 4's Addie Martino, rounds out the top 3 in this event. And coming now into the last 25 before the 50% completion mark of the 100 yards for 200-yard breaststroke. As they finish up the first 100 yards, it will be Emily Latito in front in lane 3 with a 1:19.56, followed very closely by Brockport's Addie Martino with a 1:19.74. That's going to be a very close one. Keep an eye on lanes 3 and 4, who are going to be close together this whole race. Followed closely by Caitlin Wheeler in lane 1 for Oswego. Time on the clock, 1:48 and counting, as they head back into the 150-yard of 200-yard mark. One more lap to go. As at the split, we get Addie Martino in front from the Golden Eagles with a 1:59.09, I apologize. In lane 3, we'll follow up with Emily Latito in lane 3 with a 2:01.52. And heading into this last 25 yards is going to be Addie Martino leading this charge for the Brockport Golden Eagles. Strong, strong showing from this team today, specifically in the event for breaststroke. And it is going to be Addie Martino in lane 4 with a 2:37.89, taking first place, followed closely by Emily Latito in lane 3 with a 2:43.08. And we're waiting to see who will take third. It will be Brockport's Kayla Bugby taking the third place spot. 2:51.77, the showing, rounding out the top 3 for the women's 200-yard breaststroke. And moving on from the 200-yard breaststroke is the 500-yard freestyle for men's, event number 21 today at this home opener. Not quite as far as the 33 laps required for the 1,000-yard. However, still a sizable amount of swimming to do for these swimmers in this event. Definitely something that takes a lot of training and a lot of endurance to be able to complete successfully. Swimmers on the bulkheads. I know you can't quite see them on your screen, but they are there with the counters getting ready to help them count through these laps that they will complete for this 500-yard freestyle. In lane 1, Jackson Viganoa for Oswego. Lane 2 is Mike Lavani for Brockport. Lane 3 is Ryan Ladika for Oswego. Lane 4, Jace Fredrickson for Brockport. Lane 5, Ryan Murphy for Oswego. And lane 6, Ryan Sampson for Brockport. Waiting for the official's whistle so they can mount the block. And we'll get it right now. They may mount, and we're about to get ready for the 500-yard freestyle. Off they go for the 500-yard freestyle here in the Oswego State Pool. And it's going to be close coming into this first 25 yards. Coming into the flip turn, heading back to complete the 50. And it's going to be lane 3's Ryan Ladika from Oswego taking first at the 50-yard split from the time of 29.24, followed closely by a time of 29.52 from lane 4's Jace Fredrickson with a 29.52, followed by lane 2's Mike Lavani from Brockport, rounding out the top 3. As they head back down to complete 100 of the 500-yard freestyle, a fifth of the way completed for these swimmers in the pool now. And it's going to be close, neck and neck with lane 3's Ryan Ledika and lane 4's Jace Fredrickson from Brockport and Oswego, respectively. That is going to be a close matchup. Keep an eye on that. And don't forget that lane 2's Mike Laviani is definitely one to keep an eye on as well, as they will go 1, 2, 3 in that order with lanes 4, 3, 2. Lane 4 taking a 134.55 with a 10,000ths of a split difference between Jace Fredrickson taking first and Ryan Ledika taking second at the 150-yard mark. Heading back down. Heading back down to complete the 200 yards. They are just over the 200-yard mark now of the 500 yards required for this swim. And like I said, lanes 2, 3, and 4, keep a very close eye on them. Lane 4's Jace Fredrickson is definitely going to start pulling away with this unless Ryan Ledika can do something about this. And it looks like Mike Laviani is actually going to potentially pass Ryan Ledika into the second place spot heading into this 250-yard marking point. And that is exactly what will happen for this split. Jace Fredrickson taking the first place split at 239.75 as they head down the pool to their flip turn and back down to mark the 300-yard mark. Lane 4's Jace Fredrickson is going to be taking the first place spot coming into the 300-yard mark with a 3:12.22, followed closely by lane 2's Mike Laviani with a 3:14.27, followed closely by lane 3's Ryan Ledika with a 3:15.12. That is going to be a close thing, but a close portion of this race, but Ryan Ledika is going to have to turn on some heat here if he wants to have any chance of taking anything other than third place against these two fairly impressive Brockport Golden Eagles swimmers. Some impressive times being put out by some of these swimmers, both from Brockport and from Oswego. And there's the whistle for the last lap for Jace Fredrickson in lane 4, who is a margin ahead of the next Oswego State swimmer, but is neck and neck with his own teammate in lane 2, Mike Laviani. Jace Fredrickson will take it at the split for the flip turn, heading back into this last 25 yards. And here comes Mike Laviani attempting to catch back up for his time, leaving Oswego's Ryan Ledika in the dust. The two Brockport Golden Eagle swimmers will take first and second, respectively. Jace Fredrickson will take first with a 5:24.09, followed by a second place finish for Mike Laviani at a 5:24.72, a 7/10 of a second split between the two Golden Eagle swimmers, followed not so closely by the Oswego State Ryan Ledika at a 5:34.45. Rounds out the top three in this competition. Waiting for the lane 1 finisher, who is just now heading down the last 25 yards. And encouragement from his Oswego teammates is Jackson Vignona, my apologies, Jackson Vignona, who will finish out at a 6:01.22. Brockport taking 1, 2, and 4. Sorry, 1, 2, and 5, excuse me, and Oswego taking 3, 4, and 6, respectively. Moving now as we do our cool down length to the other end of the pool to our women's 500-yard freestyle. Maura Waite in lane 1 for Oswego. Emmy Wilk in lane 2 for Brockport. Lane 3, Anna Baker for Oswego. Lane 4, Emily Lefroy Heath for Brockport. Lane 5, Chloe Brown for Oswego. And lane 6, Emma Purvis for Brockport. And I stand corrected and I apologize. It does not look like Maura Waite will be swimming today for Oswego. So we have 5 of our 6 swimmers here. And they're off. Led off well from the block. It will stay close as most expected to through the first at least 25 or 50 yards. Then we will be able to tell who has the conservation of energy, who knows how to spend it best, and who is going to have much left in the tank when they get to that last 50 yards at the end of this 500-yard swim. Lane counters are in position helping count lanes for those that are swimming in this event. Lanes 2 through 6 filled for swimmers. Oswego with 2 swimmers, Brockport with 3. And it's going to be Brockport's Emily Lefroy Heath in front as we do the flip turn coming out of the first 75 yards. Lefroy Heath in front, followed very closely by 2 Oswego State swimmers, both Anna Baker and Chloe Brown, who was followed very closely by Emma Wilk in lane 2. Lefroy Heath taking the flip turn, heading into the 100-yard mark of this 500-yard swim. And it will be at the 100-yard mark. Lefroy Heath with a 1:41.36, followed closely by Oswego's 2 swimmers, Anna Baker and Chloe Brown. Chloe Brown taking second with a 1:44.53, and Anna Baker with a 1:44.88. Round out the top 3 at the 100-yard mark. Cheers of encouragement from all sidelines as their swimmers continue this fairly strenuous swim of 500 yards, half a mile, fairly impressive swim. Flip turn strong by all swimmers. However, Emmy Wilk, I apologize, Wilk will be taking the third place finish from what it looks like at this next split. This time split will go as follows. Lane 4's Lefroy Heath taking the front with 2:51.33, followed closely with a time of 2:56.88 in second place, followed by third place Emmy Wilk with a fairly impressive time. And it's going to be Emily Lefroy Heath who is still leading by almost half of a length coming into this flip turn. Cheers of encouragement, yelling, go, pointing, nodding, yes, yelling. Coaches from both Oswego and Brockport cheering on their swimmers in the pool for this event. And it's going to be Lafroy Heath at the turn with a 4:68 time, followed closely by Chloe Brown with a 4:09.42, and her own teammate in lane 2, Emmy Wilk, will follow up the Brockport top 3 for 4:09.74. And this will be close. There's a possibility here that Brockport could walk away with 2 of the top 3 slots in this 500-yard freestyle. It's going to come down to 2 things. Who's got energy, and how do they conserve it to get all the way to the end? And here's the whistle from the official for Lafroy Heath to signify the end of her last lap, or the start of her last lap, I apologize, with a time of 5:10.02. Flip turn, heading into the last 25 yards of this 500-yard swim. Encouragement from the Brockport side of the pool, encouraging their teammate to take this first place finish. And she will do it, taking first place for the Golden Eagles, a 5:42.61, followed closely by, I guess maybe not so closely, by a second place finish in lane 5. Lane 5's Chloe Brown finishing in second with a 5:59.16, followed by lane 2's Emmy Wilk with a 5:59.97. Rounds out the top 3. Brockport takes 2 of those 3 spots in this competition. Moving forward as these swimmers do their cool down lap down, or their cool down length, excuse me, down to the other end of the pool, we will get ready for the 100-yard men's butterfly, a much awaited competition today for these swimmers. We opened this competition today with the medley relay, which we saw some pretty impressive butterfly swimming in the the third heat of that, or third stroke, I guess I should say, of that IM. However, now we will get 100 uninterrupted yards of just butterfly. Lane 1, Van Wilton for Oswego. Lane 2, Garrett Nana for Brockport. Jake Sarnowski for Oswego. Matthew Chan for Brockport in lane 4. Lucas McGarry for Oswego in lane 5. And Joseph Keeney for Brockport in lane 6. And they're off. One of the hardest strokes in all of swimming to complete. One that is a much anticipated event to watch for everybody in attendance, whether you are cheering for your team or cheering for the other team, it does not matter. This is an event that is fascinating to watch. The amount of physical strength and endurance that you need to swim 4 lengths of this is unbelievable. And you can tell that that is encouraged by all of their teammates who are yelling and screaming coming into the last 25 meters of this, as it's going to be close between Brockport in lane 4 and Oswego in lanes 3 and 5, and we will see. It looks like it's going to be Brockport's Matthew Chan, and it will be. Brockport's Matthew Chan will take first with a time of 57.99, followed closely by lane 3's Jake Sarnowski for Oswego with a time of 58.65. Rounding out the top 3 will be lane 1's Van Wilton for Oswego with a time of 58.75, which is faster than his seed time. And heading into this last event, before we take another brief break, will be a 2-heat women's 100-yard butterfly. some fairly impressive times that have been put out by these women swimmers in this event in the past. A 1:11.66, something to keep an eye on in lane 5. Fionn Han. However, do not underestimate the 18-year-old swimmer, Madeline Earhart, in lane 4. Lane 1 empty. Lane 2 and Samantha Wilton for Brockport. Abby Heineman in lane 3 for Oswego. Lane 4, Madeline Earhart for Brockport. Fionn Han in lane 5 for Oswego. And in lane 6, Kian Rapazzo for Brockport in this heat. Lane 1 empty. Strong pushing into the second length of this 4-length competition. And at the 50% and 50-yard mark, we have lane 4's Brockport's Madeline Earhart, who's going to be in front. Like I said, keep an eye on her. 31.47, very closely followed by lane 3, Abby Heineman with a 31.72. That is going to be the matchup to watch. And it looks like Brockport's Madeline Earhart in lane 4 is going to have a sizable front lead. And we shall see if Oswego Lakers can catch up to this lead that she has built so strongly. And it does not look like it will be possible for the Lakers to catch up to the Golden Eagles in this competition, as Earhart finishes strong with a 1:05.21 in lane 4, followed by 2 Oswego swimmers. In second place, lane 3's Abby Heineman with a time of 1:09.53. Rounding out the top 3 will be lane 5's Fionn Han with a 1:11.03. And on to the second heat of the women's 100-yard butterfly. Only 2 swimmers in this competition before we take a brief hiatus from swimming. And we take this last chance to watch the 100-yard butterfly. This second break that you hear people talking about is coming up just after this heat. This heat is only 2 swimmers, both Brockport. 20-year-old Maya Upcraft will be in lane 2, followed by 18-year-old Leah Allen Camella in lane 4. Some fairly impressive swimmers that are swimming in this on their lines. Whistle from the official to take it. And they're off. Heading into the first 25 of this 100-yard freestyle. Sorry, my apologies, 100-yard butterfly. And it's going to be lane 4's Leah Allen Camella, my apologies, who will be in front coming over here. Follow lane 2, Maya Upcraft. And it will be Allen Camella who's in front with a 34.31, followed very closely by Upcraft in lane 2 with a 36.73. Encouragement from everyone, including the Oswego team, for this Brockport swimmer in lane 2, which is Maya Upcraft, who is a little bit behind on this split, but not by much. It'll be Allen Camella coming in at the end of this 100 yards in front with a final time of 1:15.51, followed closely by Maya Upcraft in lane 2. A good showing of 1:19.97. And we are going to take a brief break, about 10 minutes. And in this time, we will have some announcements from our public address announcer, as well as an opportunity for our swimmers to take a breather, take a break, get some water, as well as myself to take a breather, refill my water bottle, and I will be back. And thank you very much for joining us for this edition of Oswego State Swimming and Diving here in Oswego on WTOP 10. And we welcome you back inside the Oswego State Natatorium at the Laker Pool in Oswego, New York, here on WTOP 10 for the next event after our break, event number 25, the men's 200-yard IM. Now the IM order here for college is butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle. So these swimmers in order. Right, lane 1, Ryan Gublow. For Oswego, lane 2, Matt Cole for Brockport. Nathan Radivine in lane 3 for Oswego. Luca Oliveri for Brockport in lane 4. Zach Brown for Oswego in lane 5. And Matthew Chan in lane 6 for Brockport. And we're off on the 200-yard IM. 50 yards of each. One down, one back of each stroke, starting with fly. And it's going to be lane 5, Zach Brown in front. Lane 5, Zach Brown, time 26:72, coming into the next stroke, which will be backstroke, which is his strong suit. Followed by lane 4's Luca Oliveri. And then lane 3's Nathan Radivine will round out the top 3 at the split. Heading back down to the 50 is going to be close between Olivieri and Brown coming into this last bit, and it might be Olivieri who touches that wall first. It's going to be Olivieri that takes the front lead by not that much. Coming in to the breaststroke, which is where Brown thrives. This is his home. This is what he does. And off they go. And just like we said, there's Zach Brown pushing back forward to take back that lead from Luca Olivieri. It's going to be close. Coming into the flip, into the last 50 yards in freestyle. This is it. This is what it comes down to right here. These last 50 yards. Brown in front right now. Olivieri covering up on top. Olivieri looks like he's got it in the flip turn. Can he hold the lead for the Golden Eagles? Will he do it? Afterburners are on for both of these swimmers. It is an all-out sprint to the finish. And it will be Luca Olivieri who takes the first place for the 200 IM for the Golden Eagles, 2:04.06, followed closely by Zach Brown in second with a 2:05.92. Rounding out the top 3 is Oswego's Nathan Radivine with a 2:12.96, an impressive showing by both of the Oswego and Brockport swimmers. And a shout of approval from a family member here in the crowd, encouraged by the fact that we had a Brockport swimmer take that title in such a nail-biting race all the way through those 200 yards. And speaking of 200 yards, moving on to the Oswego and Brockport women's 200-yard IM. Maura Waite, who is not swimming for Oswego today, like I said, who was supposed to be in lane 1, not here. Lane 2, Brienne Westfall for Brockport. Izzy Daig in lane 3 for Oswego. Maddie Perobic in lane 4 from Brockport. Anna Baker for lane 5 for Oswego. And Emmy Wilk for lane 6 for Brockport. Like I said, lane 1 empty. Maura Waite not swimming for Oswego today, which does not help their already deficit hole that they had to come back from, having no male divers on this Oswego team this season. Waiting for the official's whistle, and there it will be for them to mount the block. And off they go. Fly being the first stroke. 50 yards of fly, 50 yards of 50 yards of back, 50 yards of breaststroke, 50 yards of freestyle. Coming in to the last of the 25 yards for the fly. It's going to be lane 4's Maddie Perobic, who's in front at the moment. Will she hold that lead? Lane 4, Maddie Probic pulling in a time of 29.65 on the 50 yards for fly. Followed closely by Lane 3's Izzy Daig for Oswego with a 31.87, followed closely by Lane 2's Brienne Westfall with a 31.91. A close race between Oswego and Brockport for that second and third place finish. And Maddie Probic pulling away, but can she keep this lead as Oswego's Izzy Daig starts to dig into that gap that she created during that butterfly stroke in the first 50. An odd, awkward sort of flip turn, caught her foot almost on the wall on that flip. Hopefully she can recover from that. Encouragement from the Brockport and Oswego teammates calling out for them every time their head surfaces above that water. Brockport's Maddie Probic. Probic in front, followed closely by Daig. Probic still in front at the turn, coming into the last 25 of breaststroke before they go into the all-out sprint for the 50 yards of free. And here comes Daig, pushing, digging, trying to get rid of that lead that Probic spent so long building up. And it's going to be Probic in front with a 1:05.105 with a very close time for Daig at 1:05.124. 0.2 of a second of split between the two of them. And it's going to be Daig who's taking the front lead into the last flip turn before we head back down to the end of the 200 IM. She dug into that lead. She's taking it back over. Can she hold it all the way through to the end? And it'll be Izzy Daig for Oswego takes the first place, 2:23.12, followed closely by Maddie Probic at a 2:27.15. Rounding out the top three will be Lane 5's Anna Baker for Oswego, 2:32.14. An exciting race, constant changing from all of those racers, and an incredible job by all of those women's racers. Now in to our last two events of today. This is what it comes down to. This is it. This for men's, then followed by the freestyle relay for women's. Up first is the men's 200-yard freestyle relay. In lane 1, Nick Mahan, Ryan Gublow, Mike Neckers, and Jason Ruiz for Oswego. Lane 2, Gavin Stone, Jace Fredrickson, Logan Keim, and Mike Leviani for Brockport. Lane 3, Vincent Mullen, Duncan Smith, Ryan Murphy, and Jake Sarnowski for Oswego. Lane 4, Jack Olzian, Alex Gaglione, Garrett Nana, and Luca Olivieri for Brockport. Lane 5, Lucas McGarry, Van Wilton, Ryan Ladika, and Jason Vignona in for Oswego. And lane 6, Ryan Sampson, Jonathan Abraham, Josh Luzonis, and Jacob Hagan. And off they go for the closing men's event for today here at Oswego home opener in the natatorium. It is an all-out sprint, 50 yards, turn around, flip back, get your teammate in the water. The anchors for these teams are strong. Jason Ruiz, a strong swimmer. Jake Sarnowski, a strong swimmer. Mike Laviani, a strong swimmer. It's all about how much gap can you give your anchor swimmer before they get in this pool. And right now, it's looking like lane 4's team for Brockport with Scaglione in the pool right now is going to be in front, but do not blink, because it looks like lane 3's team with Duncan Smith in the pool. In goes Ryan Murphy for Oswego, just slightly behind Logan Keim in lane 2 for Brockport. An all-out sprint with the flip turn coming back down to finish out the 50 yards before the anchor swimmers are in the pool to finish out this men's Brockport competition for here in Oswego versus Brockport. It's going to be Brockport lane 4 in first, followed very closely by lane 3 for Oswego, and it's going to be Mike Leviani in lane 4 for Brockport, and followed by Jake Sarnowski in lane 3 for Oswego. It all comes down to this. This is it. This is the last push. Afterburners leave everything in the pool. Big push for Brockport. It's going to be close. It's going to be photo, and it will be Brockport. The team of Jack Olsian, Alex Scaglione, Garrett Nana, and Luca Olivieri, who take home the first place with a time of 1:31.78, followed very closely by Oswego's team in lane 3 of Vincent Mullen, Duncan Smith, Ryan Murphy, and Jake Sarnowski with a time of 1:32.25. A fantastic photo finish, a way to end this men's competition here in Oswego. But we're not done yet. We've still got the women's game. Now, onto the blocks for the women's 200-yard freestyle relay as we give the chance for the swimmers to do their cool-down length to the other end. Lane 1 will be empty for this competition. Lane 2, Madeline Earhart, Emma Purvis, Leah Allen Camella, and Elvira Castro are going to be in Lane 2 for Brockport. Lane 3 for Oswego, Ivana Lafieri, McKenna Briggs, Aurora Jarvie, and Alexis Lemus. Lane 4 for Brockport, Maddie Perobic, Emma Butler, Corinne Wilson, and Sarah Kilburn. An absolute powerhouse of a team. Lane 5 for Oswego, Abby Hinman, Chloe Brown, Caitlin Wheeler, and Ashton Laird. Another absolute massive powerhouse for this women's team. And in lane 6, rounding out this top competition, Quinn Rapazzo, Asa Yildiz, Hannah Pauly, and Esther Zadov. Another really impressive team. Really powerful swimmers coming into this final event here for the title here at the home opener in Oswego for the Green and Gold Gala. And the last event of the day is off. All-out sprint, just like the men's team, all-out sprint for this 50 yards. Get your next swimmer in. How much of a gap can you give before your anchor swimmer is in the water? And right now, it's going to be the Oswego team in lane 3 with Ivana Lafiere giving McKenna Briggs as much of a gap as she possibly can before lane 4's Brockport team, Maddie Perobic, gives Emma Butler as much gap as she can before she gets in the water. It's going to be Oswego's team in lane 3, followed closely by Brockport's team in lane 2, followed by Brockport's team in lane 4. A lot of numbers. Goodness. And we actually have an absolute tie for third place between lanes 5 and 6, which is insane. And in goes the Oswego swimmer. Oswego will take the lead in lane 3. That's Aurora Jarvie. Aurora Jarvie leading the charge for the Oswego women's for the IM 200, followed very closely by Brockport's Caitlin Wheeler and Aurora Jarvie are going to be neck and neck all the way through. How much of a gap can Oswego give to their anchor swimmer, Alexa Lemus, before she gets in the pool? And she's in now. And she's got at least a second and a half of gap. But can the Golden Eagles catch up with this, with their two teams that are gaining speed on this Oswego team? And here we go, the final 25 yards, final push. This is it, leave it all out there. And it will be Oswego's team in the third lane, Ivana Lafieri, McKenna Briggs, Aurora Jarvie, and Alexa Lemus, who take home the gold with 1:45.84. Brockport's team in lane 4 of Maddie Perobic, Emma Butler, Corinne Wilson, and Sarah Kilburn will take home the silver with a time of 1:47.48. And rounding off the top 3 is Brockport's team in lane 6. Quinn Rapazzo, Is Yildiz, and Hannah Pauly, anchored by Esther Zadov. And an incredible final race set from both the men's and the women's team here for the home opener for the Oswego State men's and women's swimming and diving. Score updates that were given just before these two last races. 127 for Oswego men, 117 for Brockport. Oswego women's 92, Brockport women's 170. An incredible showing by the Brockport team at this event today. Now again, we'll give Brockport credit. That was an incredible game. However, Oswego did have to dig themselves out of a hole. They only had half of their diving program present today. They have no men's divers, as we said earlier in the broadcast. No men's divers on the Oswego team for this season. $287 the final total before these last two events for Brockport. And $219 for the Oswego State Lakers. Celebrations being had by the Brockport Golden Eagles. And a cheer of thanks erupts from the Oswego State Laker bench, thanking Brockport for their competition here at the pool. And we'll see what Brockport's response will be. And a praise back and forth between these two teams, showing companionship and sportsmanship as we encourage always in all sports, especially here in the SUNYAC Conference. But that'll do it for us here on WTOP 10 TV. Final score, Oswego 219, Brockport 287. Brockport takes home a win on the road for the home opener here at Oswego. For WTOP 10, I've been Connor Dickman, and we wish you a good night.